Ladies and gentlemen, pray charge your glasses. The toast is Master William. The latest
And not the last, we hope.
The latest tradition, friends, to the famous Fraser family. Fortunate indeed is such a child, blessed from birth by the grace and love of two such perfect parents.
Yeah.
Doubly fortunate in that he will undoubtedly inherit from the one those characteristics of charm and beauty which have so endeared her to all our hearts, and from the other an endowment of wit, manly strength, and generosity of spirit which so readily distinguish him from those of more common pottery.
To Master William.
I will not particularize nor condemn those who, through reasons of greed or avarice, are unable to be present on this auspicious occasion.
Father.
I will simply pass without comment to the subject of this lavish entertainment. I give you Master William Fraser,
Master William.
12 months old today. Long may he rejoice in health, happiness, and prosperity. Master William.
Master William.
My friends, as I cannot possibly hope to match Captain Webster's eloquence, I will content myself by thanking you all on behalf of my wife, myself, and my son.
Spoken like a man. The wine is with you, sir.
Have you any plans for his future?
Indeed, yes. When William attains his majority, he will have quite an inheritance.
I have today banked £5 in his name. I shall add a further 5 on his second birthday, and an extra 5 on each succeeding birthday.
Well.
Splendid idea, Robert. Well, we must follow suit with little Samuel.
Aye, we'll set him up as a limited company, eh? And perhaps persuade James to invest in him, too.
James. You think of that, eh?
Emigrants.
As many as we can catch. £5 a head.
It's a deal of money for them to scrape together, sir.
Well, the law no longer allows them to take passage feeding themselves, so they must pay for the privilege of eating our victuals, eh?
Quebec. I know that place well. It's full to the gunnels with frog eaters.
We'll bend that to the shards for as many to see as possible. We sail Wednesday first tide. Come foul weather or fair. We're on time charter. Time costs money. We'll get along with you.
Is there not something that you've overlooked, sir?
I feel utterly wretched, Elizabeth. James has charge of our present. He chose it himself.
Don't worry.
£5 from me, Uncle Richard. 2 pages of advice on how to invest it. I know how to invest it. You shall have a new dress.
No, Albert, it's for William. He'll be such a rich little man.
I like the cut of his jib. Every inch of Fraser. Every inch.
With his mother's eyes.
Oh, no, he's the spitting image of his father, his little Daniel, eh?
Sorry I'm late. I had some pressing business.
There we are, little one. Sleep well. Are you not going to say good night, Albert?
Later, perhaps. After our guests have left.
Grandson, 'tis my dearest wish that one day Anne will present me with the gift of a grandson. I had a son once, poor weakly thing, died before Anne was born. They were hard days, hard days.
Perhaps it was better that he did.
What?
Die.
Albert, that's a cruel and monstrous thing to say.
We must ask Captain Webster's view.
No man of conscience could wish ill to his own flesh and blood, sir.
No man of conscience could wish ill to any child.
And when the child becomes a man,
He will return the love that he's been given.
You have your answer, sir. Arguing with a woman is like being lost in shoal water. Whichever way you turn, you run into trouble.
and that would be time to abandon ship, I think.
What? Strike your colours and admit defeat, sir?
But if your adversary was sailing under false colors...
No quarter, sir. No quarter.
Great big blabbermouth.
James, you go too far. It were a simple slip of the tongue.
All right. One that's liable to cost us very dear.
Of course.
If Albert's anything like his father, he's not likely to be a very forgiving man, is he?
Why should he suspect? An unguarded word which we have magnified out of all proportion because of our knowledge.
The situation's impossible. It always has been. Albert was bound to find out sooner or later.
The question is, what action will he take, eh?
Morning, sir.
You're late.
Barely a minute, sir. You will have noticed that Canadian timber prices are on the increase, sir.
I've also noticed that you negotiated higher freight rates, Captain Fogarty.
I anticipated a consequent rise in insurance rates, sir.
Oh, sharp head on young shoulders, eh? Sharp enough for James Onedin, do you think?
Well, I don't know, sir. I've not matched him as yet.
He did once in fair fight.
A long time ago and best forgotten.
I doubt James Onedin would forget and forgive so easily.
I care little for James Onedin's opinions on any matter on this earth.
Not even on a subject which touches you closely?
I don't follow you, sir.
Oh, come on. You were once affianced to that dolly mop, Elizabeth Onedin.
I regret, sir, that as long as you insist upon traducing the good name of a lady I hold in some esteem, I cannot remain in your presence.
Nor in my employ.
Nor your employ.
Here, Dawson, take these back. You're a stiff-necked rascal, aren't you? Understand me plainly, Captain Fogarty. I care not a rap for your attachments and endearments, but I do concern myself for the good name of this firm.
I cannot see how the affections I once had for Miss Elizabeth could possibly have anything to do with this firm.
Elizabeth, she's Mrs. Albert Fraser. Now do you begin to understand?
No.
Well, I'll try another tack. What is your attitude of mind towards Albert Fraser?
I envy him his good fortune.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Good. And I can take it there's no likelihood of any renewal of this entanglement.
Such a suggestion is unworthy of you, sir. I hold both Mr. and Mrs. Albert Fraser in the highest regard.
Good. That's precisely what I required to know.
I don't understand.
Now, these questions are pertinent to your future. You're no doubt aware, since it's the tittle-tattle of every club in the city, that marriage caused a breach between Mr. Fraser and his son, Albert. And rightly, too, in my view. Damn fool married beneath him.
Mr. Callan, please.
No, hear me out, sir. One day, there could very well be a reconciliation between old Mr. Fraser and his son. Now, Fraser and I are very firm friends, have been many years. So when that day comes, I want to ensure that not one breath of scandal will touch either of our houses.
You have my assurance on that score, sir.
Good. Oh, my niece Emma was dining with us last night. She was asking after you. Oh, there's a young girl who'll make some young man a fine wife.
Yes, sir.
And I'm growing old, Daniel. Too old to go crawling through bilges and sounding ship's timbers. I need a ship's husband. Someone with sharp wits, loyal, trustworthy, honest. Someone who knows that his best interests are my best interest. Somebody who knows men and can handle ships. The modern title is Marine Superintendent, if you care for it.
I'm overwhelmed, Mr. Callan.
You'll be overwhelmed with work if you accept, I can tell you that much. Now, do you understand the direction of my questions?
I'm to be stationed ashore.
And you will move in the same circles as the Frasers. So I expect you to take care only to meet them on the most formal of occasions.
That has always been my intention, sir.
Very well, Captain Fogarty. This will be your office, and you will take over your duties immediately. But
sir,
remember, one touch of scandal, and out you go.
Yes, sir. I had a feeling in the early days of our marriage that you were striving to tell me something. Could it be that you had pangs of conscience?
The doubt is in your mind, not mine.
Then the onus must be upon you to put my mind at rest.
I've told you the child was born prematurely.
You prevaricate yet again.
I think you are not seeking the truth, but merely confirmation of your own unworthy suspicions.
Oh, not unworthy. Under the circumstances, I imagine the proper adjective to be justified.
The circumstances were that my brother couldn't hold his wine, stumbled over a name which resulted in you calling your wife whore.
The name tripped off my tongue. Trollop would be the closer term. But being on somewhat unfamiliar ground, I leave the choice of noun to you.
And the child? Is he forever to be known as the Fraser bastard?
You can decide that with one word.
A whole dictionary of words wouldn't convince you. What you need is proof, and proof you cannot have.
We shall see, madam. We shall see. If you could cast your mind back 21 months, Mr. Baines.
21 months is a tidy slice out of any man's life, sir.
Perhaps I can refresh your memory. As I recollect, it had been arranged that some of the Onedin casks were to be stored in my father's yard.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Callan had been flooding us with empty casks so we could neither stow nor work the ship.
You have a sharp memory, Mr. Baines.
That's only natural. Before I could book read, everything had to be carried in my head.
A much to be envied accomplishment.
Thank you, sir.
Perhaps we can stir it further. I wager you cannot remember detail.
Try me out, sir.
I lost my hat that day. My head as well, I think.
Your hat. Yeah, there was something about a hat. Yeah. Hold fast there, I have it. Miss Elizabeth came aboard looking for you.
For me?
You left your hat somewhere. She must have found it if she brought it with her. But you were off ashore with Captain Onedin discussing them casks.
What happened then?
I went ashore in search of a cab.
Leaving her alone?
Well, not exactly alone.
Oh?
Daniel Fogarty turned up, so she was in safe hands, you see.
Daniel Fogarty. I see.
They were bespoke at the time, sir.
Of course. You have a most remarkable memory, Mr. Baines.
Promise, little boy, I mustn't cry.
I will have the truth, Anne.
I can understand your concern, Albert.
20 months ago, James came to blows with Daniel Fogarty.
Shouldn't you be asking James about that?
Oh, I know James too well. He enforces his will by exploiting weakness, not by behaving like a prize fighter. Now, why should he suddenly indulge in a public brawl with a man for whom apparently he had the highest regard and who, moreover, was shortly to be his brother-in-law?
It was a personal matter.
A straight question is deserving a straight answer. Did Elizabeth take you into her confidence before we eloped?
Yes, she did.
What did she tell you?
It was a confidence. And you must be aware that a confidence cannot be breached simply because there's been a passage of time.
Did she ask your advice?
Yes.
And?
I advised her to marry Mr. Fogarty.
Why?
It was a confidence, Albert.
My apologies to you. Good day.
Son, come on, man. Just right. There we are. Right, come on, son. There's a good lad. There we are. And here we are. You'll need to come up on deck for examination by the doctor before we sail.
Doctor.
Formality does show him your ticket and stick your tongue out. You know, you're lucky. First aboard has first pick of the birds.
When shall we be sailing?
Tomorrow, come hell or high water. Anything else you require?
Food?
All right, I'll send you some burgo and molasses. Put a lining on your stomach.
Burgo?
Yeah, porridge to you. And listen, keep a sharp watch on your dunnage. Some of these folk are not as honest as we might wish.
Well, we might hire a trap and go into the country. Visit your brother Jeremy, perhaps.
Robert, you are the kindest of men. Not too much dust now, love, or we'll have it all returned with a barrage of complaints.
Well, what do you want for the price? Best suit, child?
Hi, Mr. Fraser.
I seem to have caught you at an opportune moment.
We were just about to take tea, if you'd care to step through.
Thank you, no. I called merely to thank you for the birthday gift.
Oh, it was nothing, really.
A most convivial evening.
Too convivial for me. I fear I've a very poor head for wine.
Oh, my husband is the best of men. But I think I'd not be disloyal if I were to say that, upon occasion, after a glass of wine, he is inclined to talk a little too much, perhaps.
In vino veritas. You amuse my wife and myself by referring to our child as Daniel.
A simple slip of the tongue. Well, tell him, Robert. I'm sure Mr. Fraser will be every bit as amused as we were. We had quite a laugh about it later.
Yes, well, I was just admiring the child, you know, such a splendid little fellow.
With his mother's eyes.
I noticed the strong it was the most marked resemblance between your son and our little Samuel, you see.
Indeed.
Yes, and being somewhat, well, you know, a little befuddled, as it were, I started to say Samuel, you see, but then changed course in midstream. Well, it came out as Whamuel, you see.
Well, when Robert explained the matter in the coach to us going home, we simply roared.
Had your husband actually said Whamuel rather than Daniel, I'm sure I would have shared in the humor of the situation.
I could have bitten off my tongue.
Did you think I would be offended?
Oh, yes.
I cannot for the life of me imagine why.
The coincidence.
Coincidence.
Daniel, you see, with Daniel Fogarty.
Of course. You must think me uncommonly stupid not to have related the name to that of my wife's former suitor.
I didn't mean that, Albert.
I've only met Mr. Fogarty on a few brief occasions, and so I've had little opportunity to judge his character.
Then I can assure you, Mr. Fraser, that Mr. Fogarty is a most upright and honourable man.
Oh, he's as honest as the day is long.
Then I'm forced to the conclusion that Elizabeth has chosen unwisely. For I'm sure I have none of those qualities.
Then you do yourself an injustice, Mr. Fraser. My sister-in-law has a very great affection for you. A fact which can scarcely have escaped your attention, I think.
You see, she chose to ignore our advice. We urged her, Albert, we urged her to marry Daniel Fogarty.
In preference to myself. That is hardly flattering.
You didn't come here looking for flattery. You came here to badger us with impertinent questions. Well, if you want the answers, I suggest that you go home and ask them of your wife, because you'll get no more of us. Good day to you, sir.
Good day, sir. Madam.
Mr. Fraser.
Whoa, man, whoa. Is that Jeremy's cottage?
Hey, it must be. It's pretty, isn't it?
Come on, man.
Who's this coming?
Whoa.
It's Sarah and Robert. Sarah!
Oh, Kate, it's good to see you.
Hello, Robert.
He refuses to accompany me to church.
No. Well, as yet, that's not a crime, though some of these hellfire preachers would ever think so. Well, nothing for it, Elizabeth. Put on a bold face and come along with us, eh?
He's been making inquiry of Baines and Robert and Sarah. Has he spoken to you?
Yes, he has.
He didn't say anything.
Of course not. You and Albert must work out your own salvation.
What happened to all your furniture?
We had to sell.
Why?
Old story, rents up, wages down.
We have a mound of debts.
No work, no credit.
What will you do, Jeremy?
Take to the road like as not.
Came for a picnic, Sarah. And a picnic we shall have right here. There.
Where's my spectacles? They've been kept from me.
Here they are.
Not the only things that's been kept from me in this house.
What does that mean?
The storm clouds are brewing. I know the signs. Everyone all in their wind and running for shelter. It'll be that son-in-law of mine at the bottom of it, you mark my words.
James is solely concerned with business, nothing else.
Well, he has a tradesman's talent for turning a penny, I'll give him that.
That talent that you're so eager to condemn has kept us from the poorhouse and brought you a little bit of comfort for your old age.
It was a bargain.
Which James has more than kept. You have a sovereign or two for your pocket.
From you, not from him. He wouldn't give you the time of day without asking 10% return.
We have a fine house, good food, clean linen. What more do you want?
Fine house indeed, with an empty room.
What do you mean?
What's the use of a fine house with no children? A man needs sons.
I reckon that's the best bust-up I've ever had. And you folks call it picnicking. Well, you've certainly come up in the world, Robert, that you have.
I haven't done too badly.
Robert holds a most important position in the world of commerce.
Oh?
He's a director of a shipping line.
Oh, just in a small way of business, you know.
My husband is far too modest about his attainments. They've quite a fleet of ships.
On charter only.
And their own warehouse.
Where do these ships go?
Anywhere that shows a profit.
Canada, perhaps?
Oh, aye, we've got one on charter to Lower Canada, I think. Quebec, I think.
Robert, does this ship carry emigrants?
Ah, Scotlanders and Irishes, mostly. At £5 a head.
£5 a head? £10? I've never owned £10 in the whole of my life.
Robert?
Hmm?
Perhaps you could use your influence. After all, Kate and Jeremy are family.
Oh, yes, of course.
Are you in the habit of reading the private correspondence?
The address, that's all. Who is this Mr. Erickson?
I don't see it's any concern of yours. But if it'll ease your mind, Mr. Erickson happens to be one of the most brilliant marine engineers in the world today.
But he lives in America and they're in civil war.
I should hardly think Mr. Erickson will be employed in shouldering a musket.
Why are you writing to him?
I've been corresponding with him for some time. He wants me to go out there and work with him.
You never mentioned it to me.
I had not then decided.
And now you have decided.
Not yet.
Eternally grateful to you. Aye, well, come on, let's hurry aboard before James sees you, yes.
I don't know how to thank you.
No, well, look, here are your tickets. Now, you show those to the doctor. He passes you. Then give them to the mate standing next to him. Come.
Kate?
Are you all right?
I've told to see miss. That's all.
Is all well, Robert?
Aye, come along now. We must hurry aboard. All right, Mr. Baines. These are mine.
Brother Robert, either these accounts are short, or we've too many emigrants.
No. They're all aboard and accounted for.
Well, in that case, you as chandler and agent owe the company £10. What do you mean?
Oh, that? You mean Sarah's brother and his wife?
Since when have we undertaken to ship your poor relations free of charge?
Well, they are family.
What of it?
Articles of association.
Articles of association?
Aye,
What's that?
Articles of association. Look, it's there, in black and white.
You should read the small print, James.
I see no humour in the situation.
It's perfectly clear. When you went limited...
With me as director.
You inserted this clause yourself. All members of the board, their wives and families, shall be entitled to travel free of charge on all vessels owned by or chartered by Onedin Line and Company.
That didn't mean every Tom, Dick and Harry.
It's exactly what it says. Robert's outsmarted you, James. And I shall take advantage of the same clause and make the crossing myself.
Now, listen here, madam.
No, James,
Okay.
I have no intention of being left behind to shoulder Elizabeth's troubles.
Good day, James.
Ah, Mr. Fogarty.
Mr. Fraser?
I might have the privilege of a few minutes' conversation.
Come inside.
Thank you.
How can I be of assistance, Mr. Fraser?
It's a matter of some delicacy, and I must confess I find it rather difficult to begin.
Short, plain, and to the point is usually the better way.
In that case, I shall take your advice and beg your indulgence if the questions I ask seem to be of a personal nature. You've never married, Mr. Fogarty?
No. I let the first opportunity slip through my fingers through overcaution. The second has not yet arrived.
You are referring to your engagement to my wife?
I once had a great affection for Elizabeth, yes.
An affection which she no doubt returned.
I think, Mr. Fraser, that's a question better asked of your wife.
Oh, I have, Mr. Fogarty, I have.
I'm sorry, sir, but the purpose of this conversation eludes me completely.
I'm of the opinion that my wife has deceived me.
I'm sorry to hear it.
With you.
I have clapped ties with Elizabeth, but once! Once since the day you were married, and that was in your company, sir. I beg your pardon, I saw her once on the quayside when I was
What
speaking
I
to
have in
someone off to
mind
Ireland.
must have occurred before our marriage.
Such a suspicion can but raise a canker in a man's mind. On that account alone, you have my sympathy for what it's worth. If it were in my power to help you, I would do so.
Then it is true.
I did not say so. I'm trying to say that you have put me in an impossible position. I'm at to confirm or deny. Now, you, Mr. Fraser, must surely understand that no man with the slightest claim upon honor could possibly put a lady into such jeopardy. And for the self-same reason would you accept a denial. Even if I were to swear upon a stack of Bibles, topmast high.
Whose child is it, yours or mine? Answer me plainly, sir.
Go to your wife, your answer. Accept her answer. And for your own peace of mind, believe her, Mr. Fraser. Believe her.
What the devil's wrong with young Fraser? Not looking where he's going, nearly knocked me down the stairs.
Personal matter, sir.
Personal matter? There's no such thing as a personal matter during company time. Come on, out with it, man. What is it?
Sorry, sir. It won't happen again.
I've given you fair notice, Mr. Fogarty. One breath of
Yes,
scandal...
Mr. Callan, I understand. I understand well enough.
However we resolve our differences, we cannot hold a child to ransom.
Whose child?
Come to bed.
I want the truth.
And you shall have it, I promise. Come to bed.
Oh, God's blood, cannot even you answer a plain question with a plain answer?
Very well. Do I blurt it out, or can you cool your temper long enough to listen to me?
I am listening.
Daniel Fogarty and I were promised.
Did you love him?
I don't know. How can I possibly remember? Oh, he would have made an excellent husband and father, no doubt. And I would have escaped from that dirty little shop. Daniel Fogarty would have been an excellent catch for a girl in my circumstances. And then you came along. Do you deny that you pursued me?
Only with the most honorable of intentions.
Honorable? Is it then thought honorable for a gentleman to make overtures to a lady once she's forsworn to another?
You were not formally engaged.
Daniel was but mate of a bark and poorly enough paid. God knows to have money for such niceties.
I spoke to James about it. He implied there'd be no insurmountable obstacles.
Oh, James, that brother of mine has much to answer for.
We're wandering from the point again. I imagine that my intentions were clear enough.
Crystal clear.
His face seems hot.
What do you imagine a girl should think when a gentleman of your class comes strutting and mincing and la-di-daring with bunches of posies and pretty speeches?
Oh, really, Elizabeth?
Oh, tush, Elizabeth. You mustn't know of such things, Elizabeth. You're a fool, Albert Fraser. I was born and bred in a neighborhood where the intentions of a strolling gentleman of quality were abundantly clear. It's understood, of course, that gentlemen are entitled to their experiences before they marry their virtuous ladies. With whom do you think they gain their experiences? With shop girls and milliners, but not with me.
You have an uncanny ability for putting me in the wrong and yourself in the right and still avoiding the issue. Who is the father?
Very well, the child is Daniel's. Now, are you content?
Which the fling shows a vast improvement.
Indeed. His one voyage on the Charlotte roads gave him a taste of shipboard fare. He vowed to improve the victualling, and he's done so.
Beg pardon, sir. One of the emigrants has the sickness.
Oh, you finish your dinner. That bedroom's no place for a woman.
Over here, sir.
Smallpox.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Nothing.
What is it?
I'm not yet certain. A day or two will tell. Mr. Fraser, I wonder if I could have a word with you, please.
Of course, Doctor.
Thank you.
West Pacific is said to be salt water, man.
Salt water?
Aye. There's plenty of it. It's the only one we have.
James, we must turn back.
Cannot. We're on time charter. Every day costs money.
But what if we run into bad weather?
Then we'll just have to bat them down below again.
You cannot. Smallpox is contagious.
Just take their chance below. Would you rather they were washed overboard?
What did the doctor say this time?
It might or might not be. Damn it, I could have told him that myself. I suggested a second opinion, a specialist if need be, but he pooh-poohed the notion.
He will call again soon.
Twice a day at least, damn it, or I'll know the reason why. He suggested a nurse.
No. I shall nurse him myself.
We shall take turn and turn about. Poor little chap.
Captain is right now.
What?
There's little sense to turning back.
It's the only chance they have. Smallpox is a plague.
You're wrong, man. If they don't survive the infection, they'll be buried at sea, and it'll matter little to them which port they're bound for. But if they recover, they book passage to Canada, every man jack of them. And you'll gain small thanks for taking them back to quarantine in Liverpool.
Quarantine?
Aye.
We make slow headway against the Westerners.
6 weeks out, 20 days back. It's common enough.
Smallpox can rage like a fire.
And dies quickly. If those two recover, the longer we're at sea, the better. Give time for the scars to heal.
And if they don't recover?
Then they'll be buried at sea and nobody the wiser.
You cannot falsify the ship's log.
100 times over, Anne. I cannot afford to spend up to 3 weeks in quarantine. You've never been aboard a quarantine ship, have you?
No.
I think yourself fortunate. Guard boats to see that nobody approaches or leaves. Nobody to bring you fresh water or meat or bread or biscuits. You live off what's left of the ship's victuals, rotten meat, foul water. And then the smallpox don't take. Cholera and typhus do. Now, while I'm on time charter, I'm caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. What a vengeance.
Give him to me. You must eat. I can't afford to have 2 invalids on my hands.
You really do love him.
If it was a foundling left on my doorstep, do you think I'd leave him there to die? Go on, eat.
I'm not hungry.
We agreed turn and turn about, so you'll oblige me by keeping your side of the bargain. Oh, eat, damn you, eat. If he is to survive, we'll need all our resources. You ever had the smallpox?
No.
Aren't you afraid?
I want nothing but to see our child well again.
Your husband's not putting up a very good fight.
If only they could take a little broth.
Feed a cold, starve a fever. Main thing is just to keep him separate from the others. What are you doing here, thieving?
I am no thief. I am come from my own.
It's Just look at you. You look healthy enough. Go along with you.
Husband's condition's worsening.
Well, what can I do? I'm not a doctor. Anne, you've had no sleep. Now get down below.
James.
Look, if you're ill, who's going to look after them? Now, below. Rest.
Blankets, Mr. Baines.
There's none to be had, ma'am.
Wait here, I have some.
What the devil are you doing?
It's one of the emigrants, but I think it's no more than a chill from the night air. She needs blankets.
Well, not ours.
Yes. Yes, chicken pox, Mr. Fraser.
Chicken pox?
You're quite certain?
Yes, yes, indeed. But he's a strong, healthy child, so there's no reason for you to alarm yourselves. Now, I prescribe calamine lotion. And do keep the child's nails cut short, Mrs. Fraser, in order to prevent the spread of infection.
Yes.
Oh, and I'll send you a bottle of patent medicine to keep the temperature down.
Oh, I'll see you after.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Fraser.
God.
Thank you very much.
Ready to see the stage, Jeremy Sterling, an emigrant, died of natural causes. Now then, when we get to Quebec, I want a clean bill of health. No objections from anybody. Thank you, Mr. Baines.
All right, sir.
Well,
I don't know.
you don't know what.
Your motives.
My motives have never changed from the first day that we met. Have yours? The wife will recover. We're past the danger. Now, to turn back would have been impracticable. You must understand that.
Would you have turned back had it been me?
No. To turn back would have made no difference. Don't you see that? Oh, Anne. When will you stop trying to be my conscience, eh? One of these days, your confounded scruples will bring us to the workhouse.
With all the turmoil, I'd quite forgotten to post my letter to Mr. Erickson.
It is important.
Of course.
Are you going to work for this Mr. Erickson?
Perhaps.
America is far away.
It does have that merit.
Will you be coming back to Liverpool?
If I go, no.